Welcome to the Vegas Insider channel here on YouTube as we take a look at Saturday's best bets in college football. Kevin Rogers and Brian Edwards with you. And Brian did go 1-2 last week in his best bets, but he'll bounce back coming up this week. He did have Alabama first half against Miami, but Clemson and LSU fell short. So let's move on to week 2 in college football, Brian. And let's begin inside of the SEC, an SEC American Athletic Conference matchup with South Carolina facing East Carolina, and the Gamecocks are a short favorite on the road.
Yeah, East Carolina's got some extra rest, having lost 33-19 at App State last Thursday. They kind of got 10 garbage points late. They were trying to tease me on the over I had, which is a big fat L. That made it more respectable. But they also had a Hail Mary that looked like a touchdown to me, got taken away on review on the last play of the first half. But anyhow, South Carolina, I mean, I have no idea. Eastern Illinois FCS team, don't know anything about them. But South Carolina wins 46-0. The grad assistant turned starting QB, Zeb Nolan, 4 touchdown passes without an interception. So they played without Kevin Harris, their star running back, second team All-SEC last year when he had 1,138 yards, 15 touchdowns, 6.2 yards per carry average. He sat out last week. He'd been hurt during camp dealing with a back issue, but Beamer said he was full contact Tuesday after practice. He said he's good to go, and he looked great on Tuesday. I think South Carolina is going to win this one in the trenches. Beamer did not inherit a good team, but he did inherit a good O-line and D-line, and that's where this game is going to be won. And like I've always said about Harris, he throws stiff arms with violent intentions. Assuming he's 100%, he'll get 150 and change. South Carolina will cover the short number, which is 2.
All right, so Brian, with the Gamecocks on the road against the Pirates, now on to pick number 2, and the Georgia Bulldogs, who came off of an impressive defensive battle victory over the Clemson Tigers last week. Only touchdown scored on a pick 6. Now they are back home hosting a very feisty UAB squad, Brian.
Yeah, UAB's been in the Conference USA title game 3 years in a row. They've won it twice, last year in 2018. I snagged this at plus 27 Sunday night, but as long as you can get 24 or more, I like it. Reports out of Athens on Wednesday afternoon is that JT Daniels has got an oblique issue. He's pretty beat up from the Clemson game. He's missed some practice time. He actually is now listed as questionable. Now I expect him to play, but and I know we've been on multiple shows, K-Raj, and I said I wasn't drinking the JT Daniels Kool-Aid like most pundits seem to be during the offseason. But in fairness to him, man, it's just personnel issues for them. Like I said last week is why I liked Clemson. I didn't know Georgia's defense is going to be that nasty, but Georgia is without Eric Gilbert. They're still without him this week. Darnell Washington, he's questionable, and so is Blaylock, but I kind of think they're not going to play. And even Kearis Jackson, who led them in catches and receiving yards last year, he didn't play any snaps at wide receiver, but they played him on special teams, which is kind of weird to me. But the bottom line is Daniels, well, now he's not 100% healthy, and he's missing all this personnel. And UAB's got a pretty good defense, and they've got a veteran quarterback. And we just saw Georgia's offense struggle last week, and UAB has extra rest. They played Wednesday night, and we're chilling in the AC, relaxing, watching Georgia slug it out with Clemson Saturday night. I like UAB catching the as long as it's 24 or better, and it's 24 or 24.5 at most books as we are chatting here early Thursday.
And for our final pick, Brian, an SEC battle between Missouri and Kentucky, and the Wildcats favored at home in this one. And Missouri, they had their struggles last week against Central Michigan, but then you look at Kentucky, they rolled past a not-so-great Louisiana Monroe team. Your thoughts here on the Wildcats and the Tigers in Lexington?
Revenge game for Kentucky, lost 20-10 in Columbia last year. But that was when I think Terry Wilson, he got yanked or got banged up, and they went with Gatewood, and he was awful. And I think they've solved their quarterback issue, which I'll get to in a second. But what you noted, how Missouri struggled last week, Central Michigan actually finished the game with more first downs, 27-22 advantage, and more total yards, 475 to 468. And they had 301 passing yards. But Mizzou wins 34-24, a non-cover. But, last week, the only team that really impressed me as a whole team was Bama. Now, Georgia's defense impressed me. And look, I know it was ULM, winless last year, just hired a 65-year-old coach in Bowden. And I get it. It's ULM. However, we have not seen Kentucky with a big-armed quarterback in a long, long, long time, maybe even since my man, I'm forgetting his nickname, the late, great Jared Lorenzen, the hefty lefty. But anyhow, Will Levis, it was ULM, but he's got an enormous arm. Like, if there's any other outside of Georgia's defense in Alabama that impressed me, it was just Will Levis. 367 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, but it hit his receiver right in the hands and bounced in the air and right to a ULM defender. And this passing attack looks like it's got some pop. They got Nebraska's best wide receiver, Wan'Dale Robinson. He had 5 catches, 125 yards, 2 touchdowns in his UK debut. Now, Missouri leaned on Tyler Batty offensively last week. He went for more than 200 yards. But, and again, for the 8th time, it was ULM, but UK's run defense is good. They held ULM to 17 rushing yards on 43 attempts, and that's a Rich Rod offense that usually finds a way to produce some rushing yards. And I'll also add that Mizzou has limped to a 5-11 spread record in its last 16 as a road underdog since 2015. And Kentucky's been decent as a home favorite lately, 6-4 against the spread in their last 10. Again, a revenge game for the Cats. This line is moving up steadily. It's 5.5, but I think it's on its way to 6, maybe even 7 eventually. So I'd get it ASAP.
And let's review Brian's selections for week 2 in college football. And Brian's going to take South Carolina on the road, laying the points against East Carolina. Also taking the points with UAB against Georgia. And he'll lay the points with Kentucky against Missouri as his final selection for Saturday. Brian, as always, thanks for the time and best of luck with your picks.
Thanks for having me, K-Raj. That
is Brian Edwards. I am Kevin Rogers. And we'll be back with you next week for more college football best bets right here on our YouTube channel at VegasInsider.com.